Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. They wear fur and speak with a bark. This is the story of how one faithful dog turned a night of tragedy into a tale of survival and love. The night was unusually cold. A thin layer of frost glazed the empty sidewalks, and the moon hung low in the sky, silvering the roofs of the little houses lined up on Maple Street. Most of the town was asleep, tucked warmly into their beds, their chimneys exhaling soft smoke into the midnight air. Inside the last house at the corner, Mr. Harris, a 70-year-old widower, sat in his worn-out armchair by the fireplace. His hands trembled slightly as he turned the pages of a tattered book, but his eyes often wandered from the words to the creature lying at his feet. Maximum. The dog lay curled up, his chest rising and falling in a calm rhythm. His fur was a mix of brown and white, his ears floppy, and his eyes, when they were open, were the kind of eyes that seemed to see deeper than most humans ever could. Max hadn't always looked this peaceful. When Mr. Harris first found him at the shelter 3 years ago, the dog was thin, scarred, and distrustful of everyone. "He's been abandoned twice," the shelter worker had whispered. "Not many people want a dog like him." But Mr. Harris had wanted him, perhaps because he, too, knew what it felt like to be unwanted. Since losing his wife, loneliness had crept into his days like a shadow that never left. His grown children lived far away, busy with their lives. The house had become unbearably silent, until Max arrived. From the moment the old man brought him home, something changed. Max followed him everywhere, sat patiently during long evenings, and nudged his hand whenever sadness clouded his face. Slowly, the two became more than companions. They became lifelines for each other. That night, as the fire in the fireplace crackled lower, Mr. Harris finally drifted into sleep. Max, as always, remained alert despite his tired body. His ears twitched at every distant sound, the rustle of leaves outside, the creak of the wooden walls, the faint hum of the heater. Hours passed. Midnight came. And then, it happened. Max's nose twitched. He smelled something strange, something sharp and dangerous. His eyes shot open, glowing amber in the dark. Within seconds, he was on his feet. The air felt different, warm, thick, smoke. He sprinted to the bedroom, where Mr. Harris slept. At first, Max nudged the bed with his nose. No response. Then he barked once, twice, louder, sharper, urgent. Mr. Harris stirred. "What is it, boy?" "Go back to sleep," he mumbled, half asleep. But Max didn't stop. He pawed at the bed, barked again, this time a desperate, piercing bark that echoed through the house. Finally, the old man sat up, frowning. "What's gotten into you?" Then he smelled it. The smoke. Heart pounding. "Mr. Harris jumped out of bed and opened the door. His eyes widened. The hallway was already clouded. The curtains in the kitchen were ablaze, flames licking upward, spreading fast. The heater must have sparked during the night. "Dear Lord," he whispered, fear gripping his chest. For a moment, panic threatened to paralyze him, but then he felt Max press against his leg, barking, urging him forward. The dog's presence gave him focus. He grabbed his phone with trembling hands, dialed the fire department, and then, without hesitation, let Max lead him out of the house. The night air hit his lungs like salvation. They stumbled onto the front lawn, just as the fire roared louder behind them. Within minutes, neighbors spilled out of their houses, startled by the smoke and flames. Some ran to offer blankets. Others tried to comfort Mr. Harris as he stood shivering, his eyes fixed on the fire that devoured his home of 40 years. By the time the fire trucks arrived, the house was beyond saving. The firefighters battled the flames, but all Mr. Harris could do was stand there, Max pressed firmly by his side, his fur singed slightly at the tips, but his body steady and unafraid. When the fire was finally under control, the chief approached Mr. Harris. "Sir, if your dog hadn't woken you when he did, you wouldn't be standing here." That house was minutes away from becoming a trap. Mr. Harris looked down at Max, tears blurring his eyes. He knelt and wrapped his arms around the dog's neck. "You saved me," he whispered into his fur. "You truly saved me." The next morning, as dawn broke and light spilled across the street, neighbors brought hot coffee and warm meals. Someone offered a spare room until Mr. Harris could find a place to stay. But everywhere he went, people looked not at him, but at Max. "That's the hero dog," they said. "The bark that saved a life." Mr. Harris, though heartbroken at losing his house, felt a strange peace. Everything he owned had turned to ash, but what truly mattered had survived. And as he sat with Max beside him, he realized something important. Max hadn't just saved his life from the fire. He had saved him long before that, on the day he walked into the shelter and chose a broken dog who needed love. In truth, they had saved each other. From then on, Mr. Harris made sure everyone knew it. When reporters came, when children asked about the fire, when neighbors retold the story, he would always smile, place his hand on Max's head, and say, "It wasn't me who survived. It was the bark that saved a life." The message of this story is that true loyalty doesn't need words. It is felt in actions. The love we give to others, even to a broken soul, often comes back to save us in ways we could never imagine.